Hello, I'm Andrew Gentile,
And I'm Ariana.
and you're listening
Never.
to. Sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no worries. I'll introduce you. I'll introduce you. Don't
Okay,
worry.
let's start over. Okay, sorry.
No
Okay.
worries. And you're listening to Behind the Flicks. This show is all about me sharing as many facts as I know about filmmaking and directors, and behind the scenes info about movies and whatnot to Ariana. And you'll join us for the ride. Our guest today is Lameece Elmasri. Did I get it?
Yeah, you
Okay,
got it.
cool. Our guest today is Lameece Elmasri, a writer and graduate of the New York Film Academy, and we're thrilled to have her on today's episode. Lameece, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you guys?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic.
Me too. I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
Me too.
I
Before we
feel.
do,
Go ahead.
no, you go.
I was gonna say I feel like it's a little fan servicey, like in the sense that it's such a mainstream title. Like I don't want people to think that we're like fan grabbing or like title. We're not doing it just for the giggles. This is a favorite of our guests.
Yes,
It's big news here. I can't wait to hear her talk about it.
me too. This is fun. This is a fun movie.
Yeah.
But before we do that, Lameece, can you please share a little bit about yourself, your journey, why, and how did you become a writer?
Um, I honestly never really knew what I liked or never knew what I really wanted. I always found myself defaulting into like English literature, reading, writing. And I guess that just kind of carved out a natural path, I guess. I was born and raised here in the United States, but both of my parents immigrated from Palestine. So a big part of the reason why I decided to go into writing, particularly film writing, was to try and produce some more accurate, like first generation Muslim American type of experiences that, like unfortunately we don't really have, especially as a woman too. And so that was kind of like one of the biggest pushes. But growing up, I went to a private school. It was like this Arabic Islamic private school, and I went there for 4 years. And I met some wonderful people there. Like they're still lifelong friends of mine. But then after that, I left the fourth grade, and then I went to public school in the fifth grade. And I experienced my own type of like culture shock because the way that they facilitated things in the private school and the way that they facilitated things in public school were very different, completely different. I had no idea how to act. Like, I think about like my social skills back then, and like, I mean, they're not that much better now, but like, I
I
think it
feel you.
was,
I feel on that one.
and it was like my own type of culture shock. And so, what I did was, yeah, I tried to make friends, and I did make some friends, but I went into books and I kept on reading and reading and reading and reading. And I would check out like I was on a first name basis with a librarian when I was 10 years old. When I went to middle school, when I was in elementary school, there was a limit on how many books you could check out. When I got into middle school, there was no limit. So I would check out like 20 books at a time, read them, and then do that. And then like just my love for reading turned into a love for writing. And so I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in creative writing with a concentration in fiction from George Mason University here in Fairfax, Virginia. And then when COVID hit, I was like, I'm just going to go get my master's because I could start online and then transfer once everything opened back up. And then I went to Los Angeles, finished at the New York Film Academy, and then I got my master's. And yeah, here we are.
What transitioned you from like writing for novels and books to like doing film? Was there a turning point, or were you just like doing research and were like, I'm gonna try out film, and then fell in love with it?
It was I think part of me always wanted to write for film or always wanted something to do with, like, entertainment in the sense of, like, I like to talk and I like to meet new people and, like, I always had a story to tell. And so I could naturally, like, started writing stories and there was publishing novels and, yeah, you would share that story with however many people read the book, but I found that, like, writing for film, like, if everything lines up correctly, then you end up telling, like, this one wonderful story to, like, the most amount of people all at
Mm.
once, and I just wanted to talk to people. And so I was like, and I'm also a pretty visual person too. So I was like, let me just try it out. And I wanted that representation too. So it just kind of all, I don't want to
It's a
call it a
perfect
happy accident,
marriage
but it all
of
worked
all
out.
the things you wanted.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Totally. Arianna,
Yes.
can we please get a review of this episode's film?
Oh, a review of this epic film that everybody in America loves for the most part? Sure, let's give it a whirl. This episode's film is, you guessed it, Pirates of the Caribbean. The original Curse of the Black Pearl, the original movie that made us all fall in love with the series. It's planted a seed of love of pirates and accents and dirt and water for probably the rest of my life, as many others. As a standalone movie, it's just complex enough in its story and its plot to have many a twist and turn without being confusing. It's got some pretty rich characters with good backstory. It's all about, for people that haven't seen it, let's give a nutshell review of what goes on in the film. There's basically this big bad pirate ship called the Black Pearl with a cursed crew, and there was a lovely eccentric, what's the word I'm looking for? Captain that, what do they call it when they mutiny. Captain for which they mutinied, and he gets abandoned on an island and is eventually found by the one person that can save this cursed crew. Amongst many shenanigans of which ensue, there's lost loves, there's a chase to be a hero, there's an acceptance of someone's history in the main character of Will Turner, and there's just everybody has something that they want, and that's what I think makes it so wonderful to watch, and mix that with a whole bunch of action and crazy characters, and you've got Pirates of the Caribbean. And yeah, I would give this movie. I mean, I'm so easy to please, I think, with movies like this, so it's an A for me. I mean, even just, I've watched it so many times in my adulthood and rewatching it today, it was like comfortable. It was just sitting there, like watching my childhood, enjoying myself, getting the laughs in, getting the joy out of all of the liners that we all know, and it's just, to me, it's timeless.
That's the right answer.
I actually saw this movie they did a re-release of the movie in theaters. I want to say back in I think it was June or July. I saw this movie on re-release and
For the first time?
No,
Okay.
but this is the first time I was seeing it in theaters. I've seen it at home plenty of times, but in theaters, my first time.
Okay.
I saw it with my manager from work, George Michael Mahosik. Shout out to George Michael, and it's his favorite movie of all time. So I just wanted to give him a shout out on this podcast. Let him know, let him feel the love, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun to see this kind of movie on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Lameece, what made you choose this film for your episode? Why do you like it? How did it influence you?
Well, to answer your question, it's my favorite movie of all time. It's just such a great movie series as well. I know some people have like their own complaints, but we all have our opinions and some of them are wrong. So like I when I first watched this movie, I was a kid. Like I like and it scared me actually. So I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was a kid and like there was the scene where they're all in the moonlight and everything like that terrified me. And so I watched the majority of the movie like through my fingers pretty much. And so I have very vague memories of it the first time. And then when I don't know which one it was that came out in theaters. I don't know if it was the second or the third one when it came out in theaters and it just like blew up. No, it was pretty sure it was the third one. It like blew up in theaters. There was all this Pirates merch everywhere and I'm like I'm obsessed. and I went and rewatched everything, and I grew even more obsessed, and I hyper fixated on this movie, and everything about it, like, I love, from the characters, the adventure, the comedy, I really enjoy the dialogue and the score, like, the music. When I was in, like, middle school to high school, I played the flute, and we played Pirates of the Caribbean theme music, and I still have the sheet music from middle school or high school today, and I took it with me when I moved to California for my master's degree, but I left my flute here in Virginia, so I just brought the Pirates of the Caribbean sheet music with me just for the sake of, like, having it. So, I used to, like, the music would always get me so pumped up. You know how there was that period of time where there was the little individual trampolines, and that was, like, the big fitness thing? Um, my mom got it for, like, me and my siblings because there's so many of us and we have so much energy, so I would blast the Pirates of the Caribbean theme music at the highest volume and just jump up and down on that trampoline. So when I tell you that, like, that movie, like, affected so much of my life just in the sense of, like, I wanted that super fun adventure. I want that, like, really tight bond with, like, the people that are around you, or, I might have, like, shaped my personality a little bit just to be a little kooky, just like Jack Sparrow, but, like, who hasn't? So it's there's just so much that about the movie and just in general, about pirates in general, that I just love. Um, and it's just, like, near and dear to me, my heart, and yeah.
How would you say, if it has Care of the Caribbean influenced your work at all in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the characters? Did it teach you anything or was it just a fun time?
It's a bit of both, actually. So after, like, studying writing for film and writing for this screen and, like, going back and watching the whole Pirates of the Caribbean series again, because, finals, you're stressed, you just want that comfort. So I binged all of the movies, and I would, like, pick at them, like, as if I was studying them for school, and I actually did, like, bring a couple of scenes to show to the class and everything like that, but, like, I would pick up little tidbits here and there that, like, I didn't really notice before I became, like, a screenwriter. I just like, all of the little, I guess, the connective tissue between all of the movies with the lore and the legends and just, like, how fantastical this world is with all the mythology and, like, the way everything works. So, the biggest influence it had on my writing, I will say, is that, like, when it comes to, like, the chaotic, I guess, dynamic between, like, the main cast and all of the characters, like, a few of my own pieces of work have, like, really big casts and have a bunch of characters, so, like, it's the relationships between each character that I kind of, like, pulled from a little bit, with my characters and their dialogue and stuff like that, and it's just, like, be kooky stuff? I don't use the word kooky, but, like, I feel like it works for this film, to be
It's a good
honest.
word. It's hard to describe it in our language anyway, so I think Cookie's a good place to live.
I mean, certainly Jack Sparrow he's a little kooky.
Yeah, just a little.
He might be a bit eccentric. I think that's safe to say.
She's got a big personality.
Right. Are we ready for the facts?
I'm so excited for the facts.
I wanna. I'm gonna do something unusual. I'm gonna say the first sentence, then I want to have a discussion about the first sentence of my script.
Okay.
Pirates of the Caribbean started life as a theme park ride at Disneyland when in 2001 Walt Disney Pictures began work to adapt that ride into a movie. Now, isn't that like back in 2001? That was a crazy idea, a little bit, right? To adapt a ride into a movie. What do you got? Like, I remember that being a big thing when it was released. Was like, what? They're really escaping the bottom of the barrel now.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because the ride itself, it's more like environment.
Yeah.
It's like gives you a place to go, but not really people to go off of or a mythology to build from, or like I said, characters to relate to each other. It was just like the space.
Yeah.
So the idea that they were like, hey, let's develop everything else that with the idea of it being centered around this feeling or this environment is wild. Like to hand that to a writing crew and be like, "Hey, come up with some stuff for me," is an endeavor.
And it also seems like it must have felt like at the time, all right, they're really just trying to print money at this point. But it ended up being a great movie. But at the time, I remember I remember as like a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, people saying, "Wow, they're really reaching here."
When I first learned that, like, way back when I first began, like, my initial obsession, I think it was my brother that told me, and he said it in a way where he was just like, "You know, the movie's based off of the ride, right?" In a way, and I fought against that fact for the longest time. I was in denial, and I don't know why I didn't like it. I think it's just because it came out of his mouth, and the way it came out of his mouth, it just
Mhm.
bothered. But, like, I understand, like, it feels like it's a money grab, they scraped the bottom of the barrel, but also, like, it snowballed into such, like, a big thing that I don't know, like, you can, like, you just put the word ambition, like, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it's yeah, crazy.
Because of the unusual idea of adapting a ride into a movie, Disney was unsure as to whether they should spend the money to release the film in theaters or release it direct to home video. In fact, Disney was so unsure of their own idea that Michael Eisner, former CEO of Disney, asked the creative forces behind the film to remove the more overt references to the ride in the script. One example of a rejected reference is when the characters Jack Sparrow and Will Turner enter a cave through a waterfall in the script. So, like, you remember how, like, by the way, this whole podcast is like banking on everybody in the world having gone to the ride. So you remember in the ride how like you enter the world through a waterfall, the world
Yeah.
of the pirates. That's what would be happening.
Yeah.
By the way, one last thing on the ride. That's a great ride.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the ride at all. I love Disneyland.
Have you guys been to the ride since they renovated it?
Uh-uh.
Yes.
They Yeah.
Oh wait. Like since which renovation?
Well, I know there were multiple renovations, but I remember there was a period of time where it was closed for, like, months,
Mm-hmm.
like, a really, really, really long time, and then they had just recently reopened it, not that long ago. I could be wrong, don't
Okay.
quote me. I don't know if it was, like, earlier this year or, like, earlier last year. I could be very wrong, but, they I don't you guys just need to go. I don't wanna spoil it for you guys.
Okay.
It's
The only thing
cool.
I've heard about the recent renovations is that they took out because they put in Jack Sparrow for a while. I remember going there and seeing Jack Sparrow,
Same.
and post that renovation. But I heard that they removed that. I don't know if it's true.
I mean, the last time I went back in June and I saw him there.
Okay.
And then they had like a whole I'm gonna spoil it anyway. They had like a whole like battle scene, and there was Barbossa that was just kind of like yelling out orders, and then you
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
like the characters and yeah. So I went to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Florida. I
Mm.
think it was in 2017. And then coming to this ride here in California, everything felt like it came full circle. But I mean, if you guys haven't gone to the ride yet, it's definitely worth going to check out.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Last time I was at Disneyland was January 2020, and okay, this is a total side tangent,
Yes.
but we're on a podcast, so it can be 5 hours long. Um, sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was like, we like side tangents.
Okay, cool. Yay! The exciting life of Andrew Gentile. But no, I remember in December I thought, well, God, in December of 2019 I thought for some reason I gotta go to Disneyland. Something's telling me I need to go to Disneyland. And then I went and I had the time of my life. And then March, the shutdown happened for the pandemic. And I was like, that was the right. I mean, it cost me money, but I was like, that was the right move. That was the
Yeah.
right.
Always listen to the little voice.
Exactly.
Little voice knows what it's talking about.
Let's put an asterisk behind that because I feel like if some people listen to the little voice, it's chaos.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's like that was for you, Andrew. That wasn't for me.
No, that makes sense.
If anything, tell me not to listen to the little voice.
Gotcha. The behind-the-scenes creative forces behind the Pirates of the Caribbean movie were producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Gore Verbinski. Bruckheimer was already a known producer within the film industry, having produced action blockbusters such as Top Gun, Bad Boys, and The Rock. Before directing Pirates of the Caribbean, Gore Verbinski was best known for directing the 2002 horror remake, The Ring.
Oh, nice.
A movie I haven't seen, by the way.
Oh.
Is it good?
It scared the living crap out of me as a younger person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a good way. Because I've always liked horror films, but certain ones have, like, particularly scared the bejesus out of me that I still have, like, I grit my teeth and have snuggle when I watch them, and The Ring is one of them.
Nice. That's a good movie. That's a sign of a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
A number of actors were considered for the role of Captain Jack Sparrow, including Hugh Jackman, Jim Carrey, Michael Keaton, Matthew McConaughey, and Christopher Walken. Sorry, let that sink in for just a moment.
Every single one of those names, I'm like, what?
For Captain, they're good actors, but for Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, no, nobody could be him besides Johnny Depp. He sunk his teeth in the perfect way. Nobody could do that.
I was like, I have no words. Like, I was just, when you said Matthew McConaughey, in my mind, I was thinking of Fool's Gold and then Magic Mike. So, so I was thinking like Fool's Gold, Magic Mike, Captain Jack Sparrow, and my brain kind of had like a little thing, like, love him, think he's great, like he's a great actor, but yeah, so
yeah. All of them are great actors.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the opening introduction of Captain Jack Sparrow. Like the camera turns around, he's you know, the mash is going down in the water, and you just see Captain Jack Sparrow going, all right.
I made it to dock.
A little swagger walk, but I think that's kind of the, I don't know. Now it's an image that I can't get out of my head.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh man.
Sparrow was initially imagined by the creative forces to be even more cocky than he is in the final film, as opposed to Johnny Depp's off-kilter take on the character. After researching 18th century pirates, Depp felt that they were comparable to rock stars, and decided to base his performance off of Keith Richards, lead guitarist for the Rolling Stones. By the way, spoiler alert for Dead Man's At World's End, the third Pirates. Keith Richards plays his father in the movie.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that makes sense. Yeah. Anytime I see pictures of him in like real life, I feel like a pirate vibe. So I think that's pretty cool that he pulled from there.
During production of the film, a number of actors wore contact lenses, including Depp. Depp needed the contact lenses to act as sunglasses to protect his eyes from the sun. Another actor who wore contact lenses was Mackenzie Crook, who played Rigetti, the pirate with the wooden eye. 2 sets of contact lenses were made for Crook, a soft version and a hard version when his wooden eye needed to protrude. Crook is also known for playing Gareth in the original British version of The Office. Gareth is, for listeners at home, American listeners at home, is basically Gareth is the equivalent of Dwight.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't hate me. I've never actually like fully seen The Office. I know enough about like the characters. I know who Dwight is, and I know the Office romance and stuff like that. But whenever people make like Office like inside jokes, it just
No, that makes sense. That happens to me with a number of things.
Right there with you. I've never watched The Office in full either. Only a few episodes and like the characters and the love story, and that's it.
Yeah. No, but you see, the thing is that I had to say that I had to bring up The Office because I want synergy in this podcast. I want as many listeners as possible. So I'm just throwing out references all over
Sure.
the place.
Bringing it. Bringing it.
Yeah. In order to convincingly incorporate the crew of skeletons into environments with live action actors, the sequences with the moving skeletons were filmed twice. Once with the actors playing the skeletons on the set, which could be used as a reference for the computer animators. The second time would be with the live action actors acting without anybody in the skeleton crew. So like,
What?
for example, you know how like so basically the British troops, when they're fighting in the final film, skeletons, they're acting
Mhm.
to air.
That's insane. They're
Really good
choreographed.
acting.
They have to be so perfectly choreographed.
Yeah.
Whoever those sword fighter trainers are amazing.
And I know that's hard to do as well. Like, people honestly knock on actors and it's just like, "Oh, it's like just pretending," but it's hard. It's such, like, a difficult craft, especially, like, I know I wouldn't be able to get out of my own head and be like, "I'm literally fighting air. What am I doing?" Like, I wouldn't like, that whole, like, the cynicism behind it, I just would not be able to get my head out of it, and I would feel ridiculous. So, for these talented actors to actually be able to go through and time their choreography, like, so well, it just they're really hats off to them. Like, they're so talented. I can't. It's
Right?
diff
You like really have to let go of what you think is silly. People talk about these weird like acting exercises they get in class where you get to like be a tree or play as air or speak in a language you don't know. Anything to like break you free of being subconscious or insecure about what you're doing because you have to be willing to take those risks on screen or else you're going to run out of ideas really really fast. And the idea and this that for things like that. I mean, having a sword fight scene is a legitimate reason to be on film. It's not like, when you're in acting class and they tell you to be a tree, like you're obviously never going to be a tree in a film, but that exercise of freeing your mind and just being willing to go full force on something that doesn't make total sense is what makes a really good actor really good.
Mhm.
And so I think it's well worth it because that scene, I would have never guessed that they weren't fighting people.
Right. I want to give a shout out, and yes, the actors, they did a great job, and they're important. It's I'm just totally for no reason crapping on actors. I love being unnecessarily mean. Um, but I think the real heroes of those scenes are the computer graphic people, the
I
computer
was
effects people.
in the back of my mind, I was just like, I hope we talk about that
Yeah,
because, like, to really go through and, like, frame everything so this way, like, obviously you can time the choreography well, but also you have to place everything right, and also, like, CGI and motion capture and everything like that, like, wasn't like, back then wasn't the way it is now.
yeah.
So, I can only, like, imagine how long it took them, and they're just I was thinking, I was like, what if somebody, like, that worked on one of these films on the back end and the video editing and everything like that, and they're just like, "Okay, well, what about us?" It's just like, "We love you guys too. We love you guys."
Disney ended up being so pleased with their project that they added The Curse of the Black Pearl as the subtitle to allow for the possibility of sequels. Verbinski was not a fan of this change as he felt it was confusing. In the context of the film, the curse is because of the Aztec gold coins, not because of the ship, the Black Pearl. I mean, if it sounds good, it sounds good.
Yeah, yeah, I stand by the name.
Yeah.
Curse of the Aztec Gold is like, it's good, but the Black Pearl is like the main attention of the movie. Like, you would want that name in the title.
It makes sense because it's the Black Pearl's crew that is cursed.
Yeah. Yeah, and as the series goes on, it can be argued that the Black Pearl is a little bit cursed. Anybody that tries to go after it ends up in deep doo doo. So,
I also feel like just going off of, Curse of the Aztec Gold, like, just imagine what kind of, like, trajectory the series would have taken if like you went down like Aztec like history and mythology and all of that and just like how different everything would be. Um I can't even hear the word Black Pearl or like just see like Black Pearl like jewelry without thinking about Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's like
Yeah.
really, really influential. You know, it really like made him work on everything.
Yeah. The market people know what they're doing too in this movie.
They did know what they were doing because although Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl was predicted by industry insiders to be a box office flop, the film ended up grossing over $600 million at the box office and earned Depp an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. Verbinski and
Wow.
yeah. I mean, he earned it.
He
Mm,
definitely earned it. But it's such an oddball movie to get a nod at the Academy Awards.
yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful because they should be paying more attention to films like this. But it like that had to have been a shock to everybody. You know, not in the sense that his performance wasn't deserving, but that it's been so notable that it made its way to the Academy Awards, which is typically, you know, a kind of place.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say also just like you said, it was kind of a shock, but it also just kind of like opened the doors for a whole different demographic because people are like, there were no pirate stuff, like there was nothing, but it's like, okay, people will go $600 million in the box office to see pirates fighting on a ship and stuff like that. Like, what other type of mythology, fantasy fiction, like genre did we not tap into or have we been overlooking for a while? So I feel like it really changed a lot. Kind of like, I mean, I'm not gonna compare it to like Marvel and superheroes because like when the Marvel movies and the superhero movies came out, obviously now all we have are hero movies. When Pirates of the Caribbean came out, like the only parts of Pirates movies were Pirates of the Caribbean. But I also feel like good. Like there should be no other Pirates movies other than Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Um, but that's also just me being greedy. So
All right. Ariana, Lameece, closing thoughts on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Closing thoughts.
Wait, what?
well,
I was hoping for more.
These scripts are hard to write, guys. Come on. This is all right.
I believe it. I believe it.
I'll try better next time.
Thank you, thank you. I have high expectations here. And I just
mutiny,
enjoyed talking about this movie.
mutiny against Andrew.
Fun fact about the environment of the film during filmmaking. I just happened to be watching a Zoe Saldana interview the other day because there's all this talk of like maybe doing more Pirates movie and who's gonna be in it and without Johnny Depp, blah blah blah. And somebody had asked her if she'd ever be on board if they were to do another one, and she said something along the lines of, you know, it's a great film, they did a great job with it. I'm grateful that I was a part of it and whatnot, but that she would never go back. It was very chaotic and like all over the place.
I was like, I remember like reading something along the lines of her not being treated well on set because I remember after um uh Guardians of the Galaxy, like after I'd seen it and I went back to watch Pirates of the Caribbean because I watch it like so often, I was like, that's Zoe Saldana. And then I was like looking at it and I like to like look at like the IMDb trivia facts and stuff. And like yeah, she just didn't, she made a comment about just how bad everything was. Um, I forgot where I got this information from, but it was like a discussion that I had where the initial like main character of Pirates of the Caribbean was never supposed to be Jack Sparrow, but Elizabeth Swann, because it had like her as like the heroine, and then you had like the two suitors, the big like adventure that she goes on, and then like her big, I mean, obviously all of the characters arced over the course of the series, but like with her specifically, I think about it and I'm just like, imagine if this movie started off as like this romantic adventure. I mean, obviously there's still a big element of romance, but I would go so far as to say that it's not the main part.
Sure.
And so imagine if they stuck with it being one of the main parts, just how different the movie would be. And I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in love with that idea either. Earlier when I was doing my intro and I'm like, every character has a want, like, I was kind of thinking about them all, and Elizabeth's character is the one with the most ambiguous want. Like, I think at the end of the day, she just wants adventure. She's tired. She's just not a stuck at home kind of lady, so she wants to be out in the world. But that's not made completely clear in the movie until later, I feel like.
I do wanna touch on, like, the change that the movies had after the initial trilogy, like, when they removed Will Turner and they removed Elizabeth Swann and it was just Jack Sparrow. Um, I feel like I understand where a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't like the 4th movie, I don't like the 5th movie," because there's a lot of change. Um, to me, the 5th movie, like, you could feel, like, where the actors, like, felt tired almost, but it still made me cry, to be honest. At the 4th movie, like, I love the 1st one, it's near my heart, but the 4th movie is also, like, very high up there, if for anything, because of the mermaids that are in it, but, like, people should go and watch it so that they can see the mermaids, and yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I get excited, feel like I go all over the place, and
No, that's understandable. I mean, we want you to chit chat about what you're passionate about. It's what freedom around here.
That's what the podcast is all about.
Yeah. And I like hearing your thoughts on it. I mean, because this is like what people might see as a like uncomplicated, fun movie. Something that maybe you don't or shouldn't look through like some type of artistic lens with. Like, just leave it alone. It's for fun. Let's not talk about the holes or the weirdness or whatever might be there. And then, but to look at it through a cinematic lens and talk about the good parts of it, I think has value because there's a reason why this movie works. I mean, I get that it's fun and it's not necessarily making a huge statement about art, but as a story and to be captivated, it still connects a lot of people and is still relatable. And that has its own value. I love films that do that.
I wanna go watch it again. I already watched it today, but I wanna go watch it again
What
when
about
it's
your
the
thoughts,
lesson.
Andrew?
Uh, I
Let me
I
hear it.
I really like this movie. It it's one of those movies where I can absolutely see it inspiring a whole other generation of movie lovers. For me, it was surprise, surprise, Star Wars and Indiana Jones. But um, for a whole other generation, it could very well be Pirates of the Caribbean. I see its flaws more than I see Star Wars's flaws because I'm more of a Star Wars fan. You know what I mean? Like it's like if for a film nerd, there are like different camps of like okay, here are the movies that I just go to for comfort, and this is certainly a comfort movie, and
Mhm.
that's a legitimate category of enjoyment. And so to say to a whole generation, well, it has plot holes in it there, and it's also based off of a ride, therefore it doesn't have value. Is that's a dumb point, and I don't agree with that person. That imaginary person I came up with right now.
I'm sure they exist somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it. Then also, you know what? Pirates aren't for everybody, and you know what? That's fine because then it's more pirates for us, I guess. Um, I hope that they do because I keep on looking up to see like if they're going to continue the series, like this, that, and the third. And I do hope that they do continue it in some way because they did like leave like a really big kind of cliffhanger at one of like the after credit scenes. And I am curious to see how that unfolds. But also I think it was in the fifth movie, they showed a few scenes from Jack Sparrow's like teenage years, his past years, like, before he became the captain, and I know there's, like, Pirates of the Caribbean books out now, to be honest, I don't even know where to start when it comes to, like, looking at the books or trying to read the books or anything like that, but, like, I would be really interested to see, like I mean, after everything that happened, I don't know if we'll get that, like, the beginnings of Jack Sparrow, but like moving forward, I would like to see like the beginnings of a new Jack Sparrow, in the sense of like, how in The Princess Bride, there's the Dread Pirate Roberts, and like, they succeed a new one and the old one goes and retires, but the name stays the same. Maybe in that sense of like, I'm hoping that like, okay, there's Jack Sparrow. Okay, well now there's Jacqueline Sparrow or whatever, and like the new Jack Sparrow is gonna be a woman, and like moving forward, like any like fun, uh, what's it called, adventures that happen with like this new Jack Sparrow. You're a woman named Jack. What of it? It's like what, the 16th century now. Like it's like move forward or something like that. I don't know. I would be I don't know. I think that would be a good idea to pitch and maybe work on and stuff like that. And, I am a writer, so
Honestly,
You're
I think
available.
that's pretty cool that you
I'll
have
put
that
the script
opinion.
out.
Not something I expected from a Pirates of the Caribbean superfan. Like you're in it for the magic of the film and the environment it creates, not just the character. And I think that's pretty cool. I like the idea of them reinventing it a little bit. I think it would be fun. And the only thing that worries me is that they like cater to the younger generation a little bit, and I don't know how I feel about it being super direct like a lot of the new generational films have become.
I get that 100%, and I agree with you. I also have noticed, at least this is just on like my very niche like focus and like my algorithm, like what I've noticed on like social media is that now like the younger generation, like yes, a lot of these movies are curated to the younger generation, but they're not made by the younger generation for the younger generation. They're made by middle generation and the older generation trying to appeal to the younger generation. When really like a lot of the younger generations, they're like, no, we want like, like I saw a few videos of like the new Snow White movie that's coming out. People are like, "What's wrong with the old school fairy tale? Guy saves the girl. Like what? Like we want this romance. We want." So I feel like if Pirates of the Caribbean continues, hopefully, and like my predictions are all correct, right? If Pirates of the Caribbean continues and there's this new generation of pirates movies that comes out, they'll take that same risk that they took with the ride and keep true to the Pirates of the Caribbean, like, spirit instead of, "Oh, this is Pirates of the Caribbean, but for Gen Z and for Gen" whatever the generation is after Gen Z. What is it, Gen Alpha? I don't know. But, like, so I'm hoping that when that happens and they'll also have, like, previous actors, previous writers, previous people that worked on the film to come in and consult, and hopefully Pirates of the Caribbean, like, the new versions of Pirates of the Caribbean won't crash and burn, and so this way we can enjoy it because initially they should be made for us because we grew up with it. Kind of like, how, like, Monsters, Inc. came out, and then they came out with Monsters University. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons as to why Monsters University came out so long after Monsters, Inc. did, but I saw this thing where, like, when kids were watching Monsters, Inc., when Monsters University comes out, these kids are now in college and stuff like that, so it came out kinda like the right time. So I'm hoping that something like that happens where, like, when Pirates of the Caribbean moves forward, like, it moves forward with us in mind.
Um, I'm gonna close with a thought that was shared by Johnny Depp when he was asked, "Why did you make another Pirates movie after the fourth one?" That thought is, "I like money." He literally said, after he made the fourth one, was for promoting it, or I think it was before or after he promoted it. He was asked, "Why are you doing a fourth one?" And he said, "I like money." And I concur, Mr. Depp.
I mean, that's a very Jack Sparrow thing to say.
Yeah,
We're
he's
being
in
honest.
character. He's in
Yeah,
character. Lameece,
what's up?
what do you have to promote?
What do I have to promote?
Yeah,
I wasn't prepared for this.
where can people follow you? How about that?
Where can people follow me? I have an Instagram and a Twitter. It's both at Lameece13. Should I spell out my name or like
Yeah.
anything? Yeah, so it's at Lameece, the number one and the number three is my Instagram, and that's my Twitter. I did or sorry, it's called X now, or something like that.
No, it's still Twitter. Nobody.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but like the
Gross.
app icon changed on me, and I don't like it.
Gross.
Let's see. I don't have a Facebook, and I have a Threads, like the Instagram thing, but I never use it. I feel like I'm not attached to it. I do have a TikTok. It's Meece. So it's like my nickname is like Meese to like my family and friends and stuff like that. It came from having younger siblings that couldn't pronounce my full name and then it just stuck. So it's Meese. Um and yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever interested in talking about like what it's like growing up in the United States as like a Muslim American woman from Palestine or anything like that. Like I'm always down to talk about that or just talk about like identity in general, or just having like existential crises. I'm always down to have an existential crisis with someone. So just let me know. I have them scheduled in my calendar regularly.
Can I take you
And
up on that?
absolutely, absolutely. So we can schedule another Zoom right after this if you want. I don't know, it's up to you. But, but yeah, a big thing that I guess I would want or like hope to share with my writing, and this is just like a future thing, right? Just like I'm telling you guys right here, right now. So hopefully in the future, when it comes true, we'll do that. But like a big thing that like I wanted to, I guess, being comfortable with who you are in the sense of like being uncomfortable with everything around you, but you're still comfortable with yourself. It was hard growing up. Like, I fought so hard against, like, learning my language, like, my first words were in Arabic, but now, like, I speak English more thoroughly than I do in Arabic and stuff like that, and that, like, just hurts, you know? So I'm just hoping that, like, moving forward, I can set an example and obviously this is, like, a big goal that I have, and I don't want it just for me, I want it for all these other creators that are coming out and creating scripts and films and everything. Like I want to set a better example because as like a big sister and stuff like that, like I kind of carved the way for my siblings. And I'm not saying that to sound like egotistical or anything like that, but like I am like the experiment. I am the tester and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that like other younger girls or other just children like growing up, like they'll look on screen and they'll love their curly hair, like they'll love their I say this like after my I had styled my hair and I just haven't washed it yet, but my I love my curly hair. But like, like girls will like look at themselves on screen and be like, yeah, I don't need to like look like have that ski slope nose or I don't have to have like, perfect skin or anything like that. Like I want people to I don't you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but a goal of mine is to just, like, I guess, set a good example when it comes to, like, loving your culture and not being afraid to, like, just just welcome that despite everybody around you not being a part of that culture, and, like, not being afraid to educate others as well. I feel like a big thing is, like, yes, it's others people's responsibility to learn about cultures that are different from them, but at the same time, like, you don't know what you don't know. So, I just, like, being comfortable enough to share things about your culture and about everything without feeling like you're gonna be judged or, like, people think it's weird or, like, "No, this is where I come from. This is how it is. It's different than yours. I know you might think it's weird. What you do is weird to me, but, like, we can be weird together. It's fine." So yeah, that was my long-winded, like, telling you guys goal things. Yeah, okay. I'm
That's great. That was great.
sorry.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's a wonderful goal to have, and nothing better to try to put into the artistic world to share. I mean, what a wonderful, beautiful goal.
You guys heard it here first.
It was announced here.
It was.
I concur. Do you, Lameece? Thank you so much for being on our program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This has been so wonderful. I'm so happy to meet you guys, and I'm gonna call Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, for
Thank you, Tracy.
introducing us. I love you, Tracy. Yeah, let's promote her stuff. Everybody go to Red Siren Entertainment on any social media site, also online. Tracy's a great producer. She's a wonderful human being.
She sure is.
But yeah, go look at her stuff too. And yeah, I mean, this has been really great. And since I moved, like I hadn't been able to really like get back into the swing of things when it comes to like writing, movies, entertainment, like that kind of stuff. And this is just such like it was really nice to just like touch base. And I feel so grounded right now. And I really want to thank you guys for just like having me on here, listening to my ramblings, being patient when I lose my train of thought. Like it's
That's what we're here for.
I really appreciate it. And it's just so wonderful to like have a conversation with like two really intelligent people. And it's just yeah, this is great. And I hope we can do this again. I know I already
Yes.
called dibs on something. So like, I'm just saying when it comes out, I don't want to say anything. We have the emails to look back, but I'm telling you I called dibs.
Yes.
So
We got you on lockdown for a future episode. Everyone can look out. It'll be a surprise. And I'm equally grateful that you're here. You have a beautiful intent on this world. You're very intelligent and passionate, and I'm really grateful that we can just sit here and have a chat about movies, because I don't get a ton of opportunity to do that either in my everyday life. So having a little time to be with good friends who have strong minds and passionate about the things that I love too is a wonderful thing, and I get spoiled every time we do a podcast. So thanks for coming over and spoiling us.
You by the way, you did a great job. You spun podcast gold, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm gonna go tell my mom now.
Good. Listeners, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to shoot us an email at independentcareerstudios@gmail.com. If you like this episode, please write a review and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube. We'd love to hear your feedback. Behind the Flicks was created by myself and Arianna. I researched, wrote, and edited this episode. My name is Aaron Gentile. This has been an Independent Career Studios production. Do you want to stick around while I do the closing outro?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I'm like
Okay, let me explain why I said that. We did a podcast earlier today, and the guy and I did the outro. I just read the outro, and I thought, well, I just gotta quickly do this in order to have it in the recording and promote all our stuff. The guy just ripped into me, and he said, "Why do I have to be here to do that?"
In a friendly way. He was
In a friendly
joking,
way.
but-
In a friendly way.
But
I
it
was
planted the
about
seed
to
of like,
say
We-
some
we
huh.
things.
Sorry.
Like, okay, never mind then.
No,
Never mind
Chris
then.
Smith. Chris Smith was Tracy's friend. He was like, I don't know why I had to be here to do that. Anyway, but I love Chris, and he's great. All right, now I'm gonna.
Said he's also Tracy's friend. I'm gonna tell Tracy on him. Like what?
Oh no, it's gonna be in the episode him ripping into me.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna edit it in because it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
good end
Do
cap.
it. Okay, in the name of comedy, and you said that you're sometimes mean. In the name of comedy, fine. Okay, I'll say it. But like, I was okay.
You're getting ready to go to battle first. I like it.
I really want to
Thank
have
you.
my
I like it.
sword. I have my sword.
Great. Thank you.